What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Listen, before the World Cup landed in America, what did the European media keep feeding us? A chaotic America, a violent America, rude people, and a cold, disconnected society, right? Hundreds of thousands of fans from the old continent, from rough English hooligans to elegant French gentlemen, packed their bags and crossed the Atlantic like they were preparing to enter a war zone. They thought they'd have to fight to survive on dangerous streets, eat bland industrial burgers, and deal with total indifference from local people. But, boom, reality hit them with the sweetest slap possible. Instead of trouble, they ran into strangers willing to pay for their dinner, friendly police officers asking for photos, and neighbors bringing barbecue right up to the fence to invite them over. The truth is, the world owes America an apology. America isn't what it looks like on TV. It's bigger, crazier, more expensive, but also a whole lot kinder and more incredible than people expected. Today, we're exposing the top 10 most unexpected culture shocks that left European fans with their jaws on the floor when they came to America for the World Cup. Are you guys ready? Smash that like button and subscribe, because I bet you won't believe the final shock. Let's go! Number 01. Stadium or billion-dollar theme park? Okay, kicking things off with number 01. Let's talk about the most important thing, stadiums. For fans from the old continent, a stadium is a history book made of brick and concrete. English fans are used to Wembley or Anfield, where the stadium rises right between rows of red brick houses. German fans are used to Signal Iduna Park, where the yellow wall packs 25,000 people standing shoulder to shoulder. Spanish fans are used to the Santiago Bernabeu sitting proudly in the middle of Madrid's busy avenues. European stadiums are tied to history, to noise coming from human throats, from clapping hands, and to soccer as something raw, simple, and almost religious. It's rough, it's gritty, and it truly feels alive. But America? America doesn't build soccer stadiums, my friends. They build super entertainment complexes. At the 2026 World Cup, matches will be played inside NFL stadiums, massive structures costing anywhere from $1.5 billion to $5.5 billion, like SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles or AT&T Stadium in Dallas. These places have giant Oculus LED screens hanging in the air, weighing thousands of tons, full stadium air conditioning systems, leather VIP seats, luxury hospitality zones, and sound and lighting systems programmed perfectly like a Taylor Swift concert. They're operated exactly like a Super Bowl event. Everything is calculated down to the second. Now imagine a loyal German fan from Dortmund landing in Los Angeles and walking into SoFi Stadium. Back home, he's used to stands exploding with chants from the ultras, blurry smoke from flares, and flags waving everywhere. But here, he gets attacked by a 110-meter infinity screen hanging over his head. Electronic music blasts every time the match pauses. Cameras keep scanning the crowd for kiss cam and fan cam moments. Commercial ads run non-stop across every level of the stadium. The atmosphere doesn't come from the wild energy of people. It comes from perfectly controlled technology. He isn't shocked because the stadium is ugly. He's shocked because it's too beautiful, too clean, and too produced. It feels like you're watching an expensive CGI action movie instead of a real sports match. For European fans, a stadium is soccer's holy temple. In America, that temple feels like it was just bought by a retail corporation, sponsored by a soda brand, and fitted with a 4K screen the size of an apartment complex. Number 02. Tailgate culture. In Europe, the ritual before a match is an urban culture. In England, 40,000 fans cram into dozens of pubs around the stadium, drain their pints, sing, swear, and then march through narrow streets into the ground. In Germany, fans gather in central squares or bring bottles of beer onto packed subway trains. Soccer starts in the street. You can feel the pulse of the match from miles away from the stadium. But in America, oh boy. Because stadiums like MetLife in New Jersey or Arrowhead in Kansas City are often far from downtown and surrounded by parking lots stretching across dozens of hectares of concrete, pub culture basically dies on the spot. Instead, you get tailgating, the parking lot party. And trust me, Americans take tailgating more seriously than religion. Americans drive giant pickup trucks and show up 6 to 8 hours before kickoff. You heard that right, 8 hours. They drop the tailgate, pull out expensive barbecue grills, shade tents, coolers packed with hundreds of beer cans, and sometimes even bring a generator to power a 65-inch TV right there in the middle of the parking lot. A group of Dutch fans, people used to calmly biking around or taking trains through Amsterdam before a match, arrive in Dallas for the World Cup. The second they step out of their Uber, they freeze. Instead of cafes or bars, they see an ocean of cars stretching all the way to the horizon. The smell of greasy grilled meat fills the air. A guy named Chuck is blasting country music, smoking 5 kilograms of oak-smoked ribs, and playing cornhole for fun. Chuck offers them a rib and an ice-cold beer. For Dutch fans, this feels like a giant national picnic that just happens to have a World Cup match happening somewhere in the background. It's crazy, it's loud, and it's actually delicious. An English fan shows up expecting a pub, a pint, and a walk to the stadium. An American fan shows up with a monster pickup truck, an industrial grill, 6 folding chairs, and enough meat to feed a small national team. Number 03, too friendly. It's scary. In European social culture, especially in Western and Northern Europe, people often call it a coconut culture. Hard on the outside, distant at first, but warm inside once you know them well. The French value personal privacy and usually keep a polite distance. Germans are orderly and practical. The English may swear loudly inside a pub, but they're still deeply uncomfortable randomly starting conversations with strangers on the subway. Smile at a stranger on a train in Paris, and they'll think you're either crazy or trying to pickpocket them. But welcome to America, the land of peach culture, soft, sweet, and open to everybody on the outside. Americans suffer from a serious addiction to small talk. 2 complete strangers standing in line for hot dogs can tell each other about their life, job, dog, and favorite team within 3 minutes, and nobody thinks that's weird. They can't stand silence. Now put a French fan wearing a Kylian Mbappe jersey with the usual cold Parisian face in line buying water at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Suddenly, a big American uncle in a cowboy hat taps him on the shoulder and says, "Hey buddy, nice shirt." Are you really from France? My wife made croissants last week, but I bet they weren't as good as yours over there. Haha. What did you drive here? Have you tried the wings in this city yet? The French fan freezes for 10 seconds. His brain is running an algorithm. Is this guy trying to sell me insurance or scam me? It takes him a moment to realize something. This old man doesn't want anything. He's just being friendly in a strangely aggressive way. Some tourists have even had strangers pay for their dinner just because. Welcome to America. Unbelievable, right? A European fan may spend 5 minutes trying to figure out what this stranger is plotting or trying to sell. In America, the answer is usually simple. They're just being aggressively nice and forcing you into a conversation. Number 04. The away team is the home team? When the World Cup or the Euros are held in Europe, like Euro 2024 in Germany, matches usually have a clear divide. There are home fans, and then there are away fans. The people who have to buy plane tickets, take time off work, book hotel rooms, and travel long distances to support their team. Nearby European teams usually get the louder crowd, the easier trip, and the bigger advantage. For a South American team to bring tens of thousands of fans to Europe is a massive financial challenge. But America is a country built by immigrants. It's a giant melting pot. America has more than 62 million Hispanic or Latino residents alone. There are millions of people with Asian, African, and Middle Eastern roots. When teams like Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, Brazil, South Korea, or Morocco play in America, it isn't really an away match for them. Not at all. It's a second home game. Their fans don't need to cross an ocean to support their team. A Spanish fan flies from Madrid to Miami to watch Spain face Argentina. He assumes that, just like him, the Argentina fans will be limited in number because they'd have to take an expensive long-haul flight from South America. He thinks Spain will control the stands. But the moment he steps out of Miami Airport, he's surrounded by a sea of blue and white striped shirts. Argentinian accented Spanish fills every hotel, restaurant, train, and parking lot. Then reality hits him. The tens of thousands of people in Messi jerseys out there didn't fly in from Buenos Aires. No! They live 30 minutes from the stadium, own a taco restaurant chain nearby, and brought 3 generations of family members to watch soccer. The Spanish fan suddenly becomes a minority on neutral ground. That's the real shock. In Europe, an away supporters group usually has to travel thousands of kilometers. In America, the away supporters group might already live 20 minutes from the stadium, own the restaurant across the street, and show up with 3 generations of family wearing the exact same jersey. Number 05, Geography Shock. If you're watching the Euros in Germany, traveling from Dortmund to Cologne or Dusseldorf takes less than an hour on a smooth ice train. From London to Paris by Eurostar takes just over 2.5 hours. European fans are used to cities being close, connected, and easy to move between. Drive 6 hours in Europe, and you may have crossed 3 countries, heard 3 languages, and eaten 3 different kinds of soup. But the 2026 World Cup? It stretches across 16 cities in 3 countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. With 48 teams, the map gets messy fast. America isn't just big. It covers around 9.8 million square kilometers. The distance from New York to Los Angeles is more than 4,400 kilometers, farther than flying from Lisbon, Portugal, all the way to Moscow, Russia. America stretches across 4 different time zones. You call your friends on the West Coast, and they're still living in the afternoon while you're already getting ready for bed. A group of English fans look at the schedule. Their team's first match is in New York, and the second match is in Miami. On the tiny world map back home, that distance looks like going down south a little. Easy. But once they open Google Maps and the Expedia flight app, the truth hits. That's a 3.5-hour domestic flight. They have to change hotel systems, deal with expensive plane tickets, go through security checks again, and drag their luggage around while exhausted. Following your team in America can feel like taking a whole new trip every few days. It's a real endurance test. A European fan may think following their team across America sounds romantic, until Google Maps calmly explains that the next match isn't nearby, it's basically in another universe with better barbecue. Number 06, the public transit. In Europe, public transit saves soccer is basically a truth. Germany's U-Bahn system, or London's Tube, can suck 80,000 spectators out of a stadium in less than 45 minutes. During Euro 2024, UEFA's Fan Pass allowed match ticket holders to use the entire regional public transportation system for free for 36 hours. For European fans, the question is always, which train line are we taking? It's never, how do we escape this parking lot? Everything feels smooth and perfectly planned. But welcome to America. Except for a few cities like New York or Boston, public transportation in the United States is mostly treated like an afterthought. America is built around cars, simple as that. If you don't have a car, things get complicated fast. Tens of thousands of people arriving at a suburban stadium by car at the same time create massive logistics bottlenecks. On top of that, ride-hailing companies like Uber and Lyft often activate surge pricing during major events. According to Reuters, transportation costs can skyrocket, and a 15-kilometer Uber ride can jump from $30 to $150 or even $200. You just got legally pickpocketed. A stylish Italian fan flies to New York, books a room in glittering Manhattan, and assumes going to a soccer match at MetLife Stadium, which is actually in New Jersey, will be as easy as taking the metro to San Siro. The match is amazing, and the atmosphere is electric. But cruel reality appears after the match ends at 10 p.m. He has to squeeze into a giant human funnel waiting for overloaded shuttle trains, or bite the bullet and pay $180 for an Uber stuck on the highway. The elegance disappears. What replaces it is a survival battle just to get back to bed. In Europe, getting to the stadium often feels like part of the soccer ritual. In America, it feels like a side quest designed by someone who truly believes every human being is born with a car. Number 07. Stadium food prices. Even though European fans often complain about stadium prices, they still usually stay within the survivable range. A German fan may spend around 4 to 5 euros on a hot bratwurst and a draft beer at a Bundesliga match. A Spanish fan can easily fill up on cheap tapas outside before entering the stadium. Stadium food is a snack. It isn't a long-term financial investment decision. But in America, oh my God! In American professional sports leagues like the NFL, NBA, and MLB, stadiums make serious money from food, and the prices can get ridiculous fast. At mega events like the World Cup, those prices are expected to keep creating shocks. Based on real prices at major stadiums, a plastic bottle of water can cost $7, a Coca-Cola can cost $9, a serving of cheesy nachos can cost $25, and a light cocktail can reach $27. You're paying the price of a fancy dinner for a plate of snacks. Halftime break. A happy Dutch fan leaves his seat to buy a bottle of water, some fries, and a beer for his friend. He walks up to the concession stand and scans the digital price board. His brain starts doing math nobody asked for. He looks at the board, looks back at his wallet, turns to his thirsty friend, and starts calculating whether the Dutch national team truly needs both of them to stay hydrated to keep cheering, or whether they should learn to survive thirst so they can afford next month's rent. It's a real inner battle. European fans come to America expecting huge stadiums, huge screens, and huge emotions. But they probably never expected a bottle of water to enter the tournament as the most dangerous financial opponent. Number 08. Clear bag policy. Security rules obviously exist in Europe too, but fans still keep a fairly normal level of personal freedom. A fan can wear their favorite backpack, stuffed with a raincoat, team scarf, power bank, sunglasses, snacks, and a few personal items. Going through the security checkpoint is usually pretty smooth and rarely interferes with how fans pack their belongings. European soccer still feels a little loose, rough, and normal. But in America, locked in. After major security concerns, American sports leagues and now FIFA use one very strict stadium rule: the clear bag policy. You're not allowed to bring a backpack, cloth purse, leather crossbody bag, or any bag you can't see through into the stadium. Absolutely not! You only have two options. Either you bring a fully transparent plastic, vinyl, or PVC bag with a standard size no larger than 12 inches by 6 inches by 12 inches, or you bring one tiny clutch wallet. Now imagine a stylish Italian fan, hair perfectly gelled, carrying a $1,000 designer bag, walking up to the gate at Lincoln Financial Field. The security scanner flashes red. A large American security guard, polite but firm, stops him and says, "Sorry, that bag doesn't meet the clear bag standard. You'll have to take it outside and store it." The Italian fan follows the guard's finger and sees a long row of expensive mobile lockers, along with hundreds of irritated people dumping their personal belongings into cheap $2 plastic bags being sold right outside the gate. His fashion pride collapses. Before he can even worry about how his team's defense will play today, he has to solve a new problem. Why did a handbag become the cruelest villain of the afternoon? A European fan may walk to the stadium worried about the opposing striker. 5 minutes later, the real enemy is a completely normal backpack that somehow violates 3 stadium laws and ruins their entire afternoon. Number 09. Killer weather. Soccer weather in Europe, especially in England, Germany, and the Netherlands, is mostly tied to cold air, drizzle, biting wind, or at most, a warm but pleasant summer. A London fan may complain about sweating when the temperature reaches 28 degrees Celsius. But still, European soccer usually doesn't feel life-threatening because of the weather. People can still enjoy the match. But the 2026 World Cup takes place in the middle of a North American summer. And summer in the southern and eastern United States, places like Miami, Houston, Dallas, and Atlanta, isn't just hot. It's a ball of fire wrapped in steam. The heat index becomes a nightmare. In Miami, a temperature of 33 degrees Celsius combined with 80 to 90% humidity can create a real field temperature of around 45 degrees Celsius. Some stadiums have to spend millions of dollars on domes and huge air conditioning systems just to keep spectators alive. Still, in places like Miami or open-air stadiums, the heat is a real survival challenge. A group of English and Norwegian fans land in Miami to watch a group stage match. They're excited, wearing tight polyester jerseys, wrapping themselves in flags, holding beers, and deciding to take a short walk from the hotel to the square. After 20 minutes under the Florida sun, they realize they're no longer cheering for soccer. Their lungs are breathing in thick, wet air. Sweat pours down and soaks their expensive jerseys. The dreamy sports trip suddenly turns into an organized melting process. For Norwegian fans, this level of heat and humidity isn't weather. It's a personal threat. They feel like they're being roasted in an oven. For some European fans, the American summer doesn't feel like a weather event. It feels like somebody accidentally shoved the stadium inside a giant microwave and planted a few palm trees around it. Number 10, the border wall. And here it is, number 10, the biggest, harshest shock. For decades, European soccer fans have been used to moving freely thanks to the Schengen Agreement. A French person driving to Germany, a Dutch person taking the train to Belgium, or a Spanish person flying to Italy for the Euros barely even thinks about concepts like visa or border checks. Entering another country for soccer feels smooth and natural, like going to the supermarket. Soccer is supposed to connect people. But the 2026 World Cup brings the biggest reality slap of all, and it doesn't happen in the stands. It happens at the counters of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, also known as CBP. Even citizens of visa waiver EU countries still have to face strict online travel checks. Even more brutally, for international fan groups from places like Africa, the Middle East, and South America, getting a visa can mean hundreds of days waiting for an interview, proof that you can afford the trip, and a very high risk of being denied, even if they already have a $1,000 World Cup ticket in hand. A European fan may feel annoyed about paying the ESTA fee and getting questioned carefully by a customs officer at JFK Airport about their schedule, hotel, job, and how much money they're carrying. Why are you here? Where will you stay? Are you carrying any weapons? But for a fan from Senegal or Iran, the battle started 8 months before the match, with thick stacks of documents, painfully long interview lines at the U.S. Embassy, and the constant fear that their World Cup dream could be crushed by a single, denied stamp. The biggest shock of the World Cup in America is the feeling that soccer doesn't belong to everyone equally. Not everyone who can afford a ticket to the final has the right to step across the yellow line at the airport. For European fans, the first opponent of the tournament is usually the team wearing a different jersey on the other side of the field. But in America, for many international visitors, the toughest and most brutal defensive opponent is actually the airport gate. Guys, when the referee blows the final whistle on the tournament, the World Cup in America won't just leave behind a new champion. It'll leave behind a permanent shift in the way millions of fans see the country. America didn't do the World Cup the way Europe usually does it. You come for soccer, but you stay for the people. Does the world owe America an apology? Maybe it does. Not because America is perfect, but because the reality here is far bigger, brighter, and friendlier than the dark colors the media often paints. America really does know how to create a show you'll never forget. That's all for today's video. What do you guys think about these shocks? Which experience sounds the craziest to you? Drop your comment below because I want to read all of your opinions. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video. I'm Damon Blackwell, and I'll see you guys in the next adventure. Boo!